Hi, welcome back to Cut It with a Hammer. Today I'm starting a series on how I decided to get a sliding table saw. Here's my current table saw. I bought it in the early 90s and it looked more like this. It's a contractor saw, which means it's designed for taking to a construction site and using it to frame a house or other carpentry task. It's not really designed for what we would consider fine woodworking. Out of the box, the precision isn't very good, and it is a bit wobbly on the legs. Dust collection, particularly back then, was non-existent, so it's just open in the back and the bottom. It had a blade guard, which I did try and use, but was bulky and interfered with the operation of the saw, so I took it off. The fence that came with the saw was not very good. It was hard to keep square to the blade, and it flexed during use. So early on, I replaced it with a Vega Pro 40 fence, which I've been very happy with. The miter that came with the saw also wasn't very accurate or very good, but I did use it for a while. Eventually, I did replace it with an Incra 1000 SE. At one point, I replaced the right extension with a downdraft table extension to try and help with dust management. I was in a space that was pretty small back then. It was like 8 feet by 24 feet. So the saw was also my workbench, which is not ideal, but hey, you work with what you got. Sometime later, I added a router table extension. I have mixed feelings about this, as you can't really switch back and forth between the router and the saw and back again without disturbing the setup of both things. And setting up is where you spend a lot of your time in the shop. Actual cutting of wood doesn't take long, but setting up, it can take a while. And this is a problem with combination machines. But when you have limited space, hey, you make do with what you have. When I moved into this garage, I built this cart. The frame is laminated 3/4 inch plywood. There's a spot in the front for a blade wrench, a screwdriver to remove the throat plate, and a hex driver to adjust the length of the miter. I replaced the power switch with the paddle switch and put it where I can turn it off with my thigh. There's blade storage, a place to put push blocks and other items. I also had a spare strip light, which I use as an indicator that the table saw is plugged in. I always like to unplug all my equipment before I leave the shop. At that time, I moved both the original extensions to the right, embedding them into the downdraft top. To contain the dust from the router, I built a box around the bottom of the router extension, and I added a separate power switch and a spare outlet. On the back are dust collection ports and additional storage for router bits in shoe boxes. The original belt caused some vibrations, and this replacement helped with that. Dust collection is much improved, and the cart is the easiest thing in the shop to move around. An overhead dust collector arm to catch the dust coming off the top of the blade would have been a nice addition, but at this point, that's not going to happen. There are 3 design flaws with this table. First, there's no riving knife, but nice safety features were never part of its design. I use a splitter and a zero clearance throat plate insert. Second, the threads on the arbor are a tad smaller than they are on the main part of the arbor, so a dado stack will never cut a flat bottom dado. And the last problem, and probably the worst, is the blade tilt mechanism is so poorly designed, it's very difficult to tilt the blade beyond 60 degrees. I always avoid making 45-degree cuts, or I plan in my work so that I do them all at once. It takes about 15 minutes of hard work to get the blade to 45 degrees. So this is what I'm working with. I ordered my hammer B3 back in January with the expected delivery date to be in June. Then COVID-19 happened. The factory in Austria shut down for a month, and while it's back up and running, it's only operating at about 40%. I'm not expecting delivery until sometime in August. That's it for this video. Don't forget to subscribe, and if you have any questions, post them below.